First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Bahashim Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to you, Akim and you, Aqua, that believe in all sincerity. What inspired me to do this video is actually the video that you see on your screen entitled Hanukkah/Feast of Dedication 2022. And you can find this video on the brother GMS Awakening 144 Ha Amawan Gabar. The video is very edifying, and basically the brother goes into the history of Hanukkah, okay, which started yesterday in the evening. And, I was compelled to actually observe a Hanukkah this year. It's the first time that I have actually really observed it, so to speak. Been in the whole spirit of Hanukkah. Not every high holy day we celebrate. Well, I'm speaking for myself first and foremost. But I actually broke out my menorah this year and lit it up. And I was compelled by the announcement, okay, that the apostles usually have, and they had did a video like they do of the Sabbaths, of Hanukkah, and this brother had posted this video. So, the Spirit jumped on me, to read upon it and to basically be in the spirit of Hanukkah, okay, because that's what we did, okay. We observed the high holy days of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, okay, and this day is more of a dedication, okay, when you go into the history, okay, it's more of a dedication, okay, to the temple, which the heathen had defiled. They had profaned the temple, okay, and basically when you go into Salakia, the history, we'll read in the book of Maccabees, the 4th chapter, starting at the 36th verse. All right, getting straight to the point. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. It says, upon this, all the host assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Sion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes, and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress, until he had cleansed the sanctuary. Okay, so he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when, as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down. So when you read in the history, the heathen had went into to Jerusalem, okay, and defiled the sanctuary, okay, in Mount Zion, okay, the temple, you see, and the altar that they used for burnt offerings, they sacrificed unclean animals, you see. So, Judas, Maccabees, he actually fought against the heathen, okay, and he cleansed the sanctuary, okay. It says 46, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place until there should come a prophet to shew what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones according to the law and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hollowed the courts. It says they made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick and the altar of burnt offerings and of incense and the table. And upon the altar they burnt incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. It says, furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table and spread out the veils and finished all the works which they had begun to make. Now, on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it, even that was it dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals. Okay, so it was basically the altar in the temple and the halls, okay, where basically they were cleansed, okay, and so they rejoiced, okay, they rejoiced for the fact that it was once defiled, but they had made it right. It says, then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven who had given them good success. Okay. It says, and so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings and gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. Okay, so it's an 8-day it's an 8-day observance. It says they decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days. Okay, so this was something that was decreed by Judas Maccabees and his brothers, okay, who ended up revolting, okay, against the Seleucid Empire. And when you go, I'll go back to this, but when you go to a little bit of history, it says here Chaanakah, okay, consecration or dedication, consecration, feast of dedication. Okay, this is a Jewish feast of 8 days, beginning on the 25th of Chislev or Caslu in winter. It commemorates the triumph of Judas the Maccabee over Seleucid forces in 164 BC and his cleansing and dedication of the defiled temple and altar. And it cites the source, which that's what I was reading. First Maccabees, all right. The 4th chapter, it says purification from the general contamination of Hellenism also was involved. Okay, so they purified the temple from Hellenism. All right. It says Hanukkah also is known as the Feast of Lights, based on the legend that a small cruse of undefiled oil supplied light for 8 days. Okay, so that's just an overview. Okay. So it's celebrated. Okay, Hanukkah is celebrated. Okay, by the Israelites. Okay, because they cleansed and rededicated the temple. Okay, because the Gentiles, the wicked heathens, had desecrated it, as it says here. All right, they were trying to spread, Greek fashion. You couldn't even be called proclaim yourself to be called a Jew, and if when you look, we're in that same stead now where, Israelites can't even be called a Jew, can't openly worship, okay, because it's demonized, okay. You're out of your mind. You're anti-Semitic. You're this, that, and the third. When in reality, this is for us. When you read in this article right here, the mysterious festival of Hanukkah, it says here, a priest by the name of Matthias, with the help of his 5 sons, started a revolt and was successful. After the victory of the Maccabean revolt, one of his sons, Judas Maccabeus, led a project to cleanse the temple and refurbish it. According to this book, there was a miracle that happened at the time they celebrate the cleansing. Okay. It says, let's just start here. For when the Greeks entered the temple, they defiled all the oils therein, and when the Hasmonean dynasty prevailed against and defeated them, they made search and found only 1 cruse of oil, which lay with the seal of the high priest, but which contained sufficient for 1 day's lighting only. Yet a miracle was wrought therein, and they lit the lamp therewith for 8 days. The following year, these days were appointed a festival and the recital of Hallel and Thanksgiving. Okay, so supposedly the Jewish people, they written in their book that there was a miracle, okay, in which they found an undefiled cruse of oil, okay, and they lit it, and it lasted actually 8 days, okay, which was supposed to only have lasted 1 day, okay. That's what they say. But this is just some history, okay. This was in the Bible Gateway, all right. But really, the truth is in the scriptures. So, it's beautiful to be able to come back and read, our history, and this was an actual day of joy, okay, as we read here in the 58th verse. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Okay. And it's interesting, last night, like I had mentioned, I broke out the menorah and I lit it, and I said a prayer, and I anointed myself, and I had anointed my children, and I anointed my wife. And it's interesting, I'm gonna say this, in the morning I woke up with the like a renewed spirit. It was a very it was tranquil, my day. It was like nothing could ruin my day. It was very interesting. So that's what prompted me to do this video. Okay. This is what happened. Okay, this is our history, and they want to take it from us. The powers that be, those that have came and by fraudulent schemes have tried to take the identity, okay, of the Most High's children, okay, and they're not going to be able to, because the knowledge is coming out. All right, the light is being shed. I want to read this. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's read this. Sirach 2:10. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? So we have to look at the generations of old, those that were living in that time, and what they what they went through, and ultimately the victory that was wrought through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And we have to see, okay, that those that trust in the Lord, they're not going to be confounded. Okay, those that they follow the commandments in fear to the best of their ability, they're not going to be forsaken. The Lord's not going to despise those that come back to him in truth and sincerity. Okay, because ultimately The Lord is looking for those who worship Him in spirit and truth, and only a remnant, only an election is going to do that. So we have to, you know, lean on these high holy days, on these scriptures, because ultimately this is our history. This is for us. All right. It says, Hebrews 11:36. And what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon. Right? For the time would fail me to tell. Okay, we don't have enough time in the world to tell about the victories that our forefathers had won. Okay, because they were Israelites, because they believed in the Heavenly Father, they had faith, they followed His commandments, just like now. Brothers, they speak about, we're basically going against Goliath right now. But as in times past, okay, read Hebrews 11. Of the all the things that our forefathers were able to do, okay, by faith, okay, by believing. All right. It says, well, what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and of Barak and of Samson and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead, raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. You see? So, our forefathers, they were valiant. See? Through faith, they did many things. Okay, and we have to be of the same spirit. And what we're doing, not too many people are vying for the truth, as the scriptures say. So we have to continue to fight the Lord's battles. Okay, as Saul told David, be those men that stand stiffly for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because as you see, the heathen have gone at length to hide the history. The heathen, we're rehearsing the righteous acts. We learned about Thanksgiving, Halloween, Xmas. We didn't learn about our history, So we have to, regain it, and that's what's happening, and they're mad. they're upset. Esau's hurt, because he's rejected, and he sees us rising up as the end of his empire. Okay, and our people, they weren't afraid. They weren't afraid. They weren't afraid. If they had to give their life, that's what they were going to do, and we have to be of that same spirit. All right, 36, and others had cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover bonds and imprisonments. Right, our forefathers were cruel. They were mocked cruelly. They were scourged. They were whipped. Okay. Yea, moreover of bonds and imprisonment. Right, they were put in they were arrested and they were put in prisons. It says they were stoned. They were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented. You see, our forefathers went through it, and it's no small thing if we have to go through it either. All right. It's something that we ultimately have to endure. Okay. The Lord is, wants to see what we're made of, which He already knows, but that's just the way He operates, It says, of whom the world was not worthy. You see, the world was not worthy of such men, okay, such women. You see, they stood up for Yahweh Bashem Yahshua. The world's not worthy, okay, of Israel, okay, and moreover the elect. It says they wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and in caves of the earth. You see? So they were strangers. See, just like, how we find ourselves today, really not belonging, okay, dedicated to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, just like this temple, okay, was dedicated to the Heavenly Father after it was profaned, and us, we're dedicating ourselves after we were profaned, by the heathen, going into the heathen ways. So going back to First Maccabees, First Maccabees, the 4th chapter. Let's see. Back in 58. Thus there were very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. And we have to overcome adversity, and there's high holy days where we're not only fasting and mourning, or the having a solemn assembly like the Passover, but there's also days like this, okay, days where this high holy day is about gladness, you see, because our forefathers got the temple back together, okay, as it once was defiled. You see, it was set aright. All right, it says, moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 25th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness. You see, this day is a dedication, okay, and it should be kept from season, okay, from year to year with mirth and gladness. You see. So it's not all doom and gloom, okay? There's a balance. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai has a balance, okay? We went through captivity, went through hell, but the Lord's also going to bring a deliverance. He's going to bring salvation, So we have to, muse upon these type of things, muse upon a day like this, and really observe it, keep it with gladness, okay? That, glad that we're alive, glad that we have the truth, glad that the Lord has given us the opportunity to know him and to be able to serve him again. Okay. And it says, at that time also they builded up the Mount Sion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down as they had done before. And they set there a garrison to keep it. Okay, so they builded up strong towers. They built up walls, okay, to keep the Gentiles out. The Lord is always about separation. The heathen cannot try to be like us, or, the Lord was always like, separate yourselves from these heathens. Okay, it says, and they set there a garrison, which is an army, okay, to keep it, and fortified Besura to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea. And it's no coincidence that Idumea is named here. You see, because they are the chief of the heathen, and we've always been at war, okay, with these damn small hats, and these heathen as well, but these heathen, they don't have no pity for Jake, and what Israel really is. Okay, so that's why these days we have to take take heed and observe them, to the best that we can. Of course, we don't observe every high holy day. Well, I speak for myself, but the ones that we can, we got to try to, just like like Chaanakah. All right. So again, Lord willing, this was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Ruach Kwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim and you Akwat that believe in all sincerity. Shalom.